Good morning. This is Deacon Greg Donaldson, and this is your daily reflection for Friday of the 12th week of Ordinary Time. In today's gospel reading, Jesus heals a leper, and I want to talk to you about it from two angles, the crowd's and Jesus's, and then also from the leper's point of reference. By now, this shouldn't be too much of a surprise to us, but the way he did it was shocking to all those who witnessed it. You see, when they saw the leper, the crowds probably took a few steps backwards, while Jesus probably stepped forward. And then he stretched out his hand in the direction of the leper. And then he did the unthinkable. He touched him. Yes, that's what I said. He touched him. Now, I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall, because they must have been the most surprised, most shocked, most fearful, and most confused people in the world. And if you think that was confusing, what do you think they thought next when the touch healed the leper? To us, this is consistent with who Jesus is, because isn't that the reason he came down from heaven? To become one of us, to live with us in our messy lives, in our fallen world, and to meet us where we are. To me, it looks like he wanted to help pierce our stubborn and wounded hearts, and to make it very apparent that he is never going to abandon us. He wanted to show the leper that he was worthy of his love. Now, from the leper's point of view, what courage and faith the leper must have had to approach Jesus, because at the time, lepers had to live separated from the community, usually in pitiful areas on the outskirts of town. They knew they were not welcome, and to make sure they didn't sneak up on anybody, they had to wear a warning bell. So they probably heard that leper getting closer and closer and closer before all of a sudden he was in their midst. Most of the lepers lived with no hope. So I wonder what it was that gave this leper courage to step out of his misery, to step out of the darkness and step into the light of Christ. For him to have an open mind and heart, he must have seen something in Jesus' eyes or heard something in Jesus' voice, because for some reason he didn't think Jesus would reject him. Instead, he felt that Jesus would or could see through his leprosy to see his true self. And you know what? He was right. There is a song called I Can Only Imagine, and that is what I have to do, because I could only imagine the awe, the reverence, and again the confusion. I'm sure there was a lot of people back then, like we have today, that were thinking, he's a good man, he's a wise teacher, or even a well-spoken rabbi. But now they had to admit, after what they had just witnessed, that this is something different, that he is something different as well. Now, on the video, I'm jumping right to the daily challenge, but in the written form, there's going to be a list of questions from both the crowd's point of view and the leper's point of view for you to reflect on if you're so inclined. Now, here's my challenge for you today. Today, by God's grace, treat someone you or the world would consider as a leper with Christ-like love. Or reach out and forgive someone that you have turned away from. I've enjoyed spending this week with you. Next week, you'll have Deacon Matt Glover for your daily reflections. God bless, and hope you have a wonderful weekend and a happy 4th of July.